Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. The Jamaica Public Service Company JPS has been summoned to appear before Cabinet to answer questions regarding complaints of exorbitant light bills. Minister of Energy Favour Williams this morning told Radio Jamaica News that the matter was discussed at yesterday's meeting of the Cabinet. JPS representatives will make a presentation at Monday's meeting of the Cabinet.
This has been communicated to JPS, so the Cabinet will have a chance to interrogate the company in terms of the information that they have received, the complaints that they've received, and what would be the action that will be taken going forward.
The Energy Minister says the JPS is to provide the Office of Utilities Regulation with an analysis of the complaints received from customers.
I know that the OUR is waiting on the analysis from JPS. We both are, and we've indicated the urgency of it, and we want to see this information within the next couple of days and to understand if there's something systemic or is this an individual by individual basis? How many customers are impacted by this? Because obviously JPS has a database of customers. It knows what it bills them on a monthly basis. It can easily look at the database and see the change from month to month.
There's been an increase in complaints of high electricity bills since March when the government introduced stay-at-home orders. The matter has been given greater attention after Attorney General Marlene Malahoo Fort complained of a huge increase in her electricity bill. And there's been a spike in complaints to the Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR, over the past 3 months regarding high electricity bills. Public education specialist at the OUR, Elizabeth Bennett Marsh, says there's a 209% increase in complaints made to the regulator via calls, letters and emails. Additionally, there's an almost 1,700 increase in complaints made via social media platforms. Mrs. Bennett Marsh says the OUR has made contact with the JPS regarding the complaints.
Among the information we asked them for is whether they have too been receiving complaints regarding significant increases in consumption between March and April this year. And if so, what's the number of complaints and what are the areas that have been affected? We also asked JPS about its findings into any investigations that it would have conducted on the complaints and whether there has been an increase in the number of estimated bills between March and April this year compared to previous billing cycles.
To other news now, the security forces were kept busy last night in Stewarttown, St. Mary, after angry residents staged a second protest. This time over reports that a firearm was discovered in the possession of Savian Hines, the man that was killed in a police shootout yesterday.
The cry overnight. Residents standing in solidarity, demanding justice. The source of their contention: reports that a firearm was discovered in the possession of Savian Hines, the young man that was killed in an alleged police shootout in Stewarttown, St. Mary Monday evening. According to the residents, the police's report about Savian's killing is untrue. Savian was picked up by the police in Oracabessa and taken to his home where he was killed.
The fact that the police held him in Oracabessa, which is miles away from Stewarttown, handcuff him, bring him to him house, pass him mother with him son in a handcuff, bring him in the house, 6 gunshot rang out, and then we hearing that they recover gun. Although the mother was there, everybody was in the home, she was prevented from even looking at it, where the gun come from.
Minutes after Savian's killing, the residents blocked sections of the road, which resulted in a traffic pileup. The blockage was eventually removed by the security forces. However, the release of the police report about the incident revived the residents' anger, and they took to the streets again.
We obeyed the police forces and we could say the security forces. Now what the residents are hearing on the news, that they have recovered a firearm, which was never in play from morning, and the incrimination against that. Listen now, it is something that goes against what happened in this community. The people are resolute, that necessary actions need to be taken. And we are going to stand for justice here.
Hours later, the security forces were able to clear only a section of the road. Up to Tuesday morning, when our news team went back to the area, a large amount of debris was evidence of what took place the night before. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
Workers at the Turtle Beach Towers condominium in St. Anne are up in arms with the management over the recent dismissal of some of their colleagues. Details in this report.
Wrongful dismissal. That's how co-workers of 3 members of staff at the Turtle Beach Towers condominium in Orchard, St. Anne have labelled the removal of their colleagues from their respective jobs at the popular tourist spot in the resort town. The workers were relieved of their duties on May 7, but their colleagues are fuming as they say those who were released did not get the chance to defend themselves. Assistant Island Supervisor for the National Workers Union NWU, Leonard Sewell, said the manner in which the workers lost their jobs was not in accordance with the law.
They just call them into a meeting along with a delegate to stand there and just hand them a letter. There was no constituted hearing, so the workers' right was breached to be represented. Also, in the letter of termination, there is nowhere in this letter where they give the worker the right of an appeal, and that is also breach of the Labour Relations Code of 1976.
TVJ News understands that 2 of the employees were dismissed because of the disappearance of some items belonging to the property, and the other for leaving the compound without permission. Mr. Sewell says numerous efforts have been made to have the matter resolved. However, a letter was received from the management last Thursday stating that it stands by the decision to fire the workers. But he says this is not the first time there have been problems between the workers and the managers of the complex.
We serve a claim for negotiation, and the management is dragging their feet. One year is already completed, 1st of April 2020, and we have not reached a conclusion of the negotiation.
Mr. Sewell says the matter has now been reported to the Ministry of Labour as, according to him, the rights of the workers have been violated. He's also complaining about working conditions at Turtle Beach Towers.
Based on the nature of what happened, we cannot guarantee normalcy until the matter is properly, until the matter is discussed. And what a staff just told me a while ago, that persons are inside there now working and fill the guy's position who were terminated from the very day, then the very next day of termination. So it is the intention of the management not to re-engage these employees, and that is so unjust and unfair.
When TVJ News contacted the management of the property, we were told that the company would not be commenting on the matter. Ashade Masters, TVJ News.
A post-mortem on the body of 44-year-old Susan Bogle, who was shot last month at her house in Augustine, St. Andrew, has revealed that she suffered a bullet wound to the chest. This was disclosed in a news release issued by the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. INDECOM is awaiting the official report on the post-mortem, which was conducted by the government pathologist on Friday. INDECOM says an independent observer was present following a request from Ms. Bogle's family. The investigative agency is also awaiting the results of ballistics examinations. Ms. Bogle was killed on May 27 during a shootout between the security forces and gunmen. 4 members of the Jamaica Defence Force, JDF, have been taken off frontline duty as part of the probe. The JDF and Police High Command are trying to determine who shot Ms. Bogle. And INDECOM says more than 200 spent casings were collected at the scene of Friday morning's attack in Horizon Park, St. Catherine, during which 2 policemen were killed and 2 others injured. The casings are being processed. Teams from INDECOM and the Jamaica Constabulary Force returned to Horizon Park yesterday to conduct further inquiries and additional forensic processing. The man said to be responsible for the gun attack, 39-year-old Damien Hamilton, was killed by the police several hours later in Corville Gardens, St. Andrew. The cops who were involved are slated to be interviewed by INDECOM this week. And we now take a break on the midday news, but please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Continuing the news now. A couple and their 5 children are now homeless after a fire destroyed their home in Windsor Forest, St. Thomas. As we hear in this report, no fire truck or police showed up to help.
Everything, God, everything.
Devastated, this man gets emotional as he comes to terms with losing everything he owns. When our news team arrived, he was trying to put out the remnants of the fire at his house. Nothing but ashes and the frame of the house is left. It's understood that around 11 in the morning, the house caught fire.
I'm so sad. Behalf of my partner house burned and I wasn't here. My children wasn't here. Also, I have 4 children, 3 boys, 1 girl. I lose my daughter father death certificate and I had on my clothes them, a lot of stuff, no way to sleep tonight.
It's not known what caused the fire. The fire was blazing for hours and calls to the police and fire brigade proved futile.
Right now, I don't have nobody, I don't have brother, I don't have sister, I don't have nobody, I don't know who we can call. Right now, boy, we never see something like this yet. Trust me, right? You don't lock the fire about that, if a fire truck come, you don't lock them and call police and no police come. If I even a little simple something police come already. Long time, and right, I don't know, after 1 and it happened for around 11 o'clock.
Residents in the community had to take matters in their own hands when they realized no help was coming.
We come over Winter Forest and work, we work and run left for work, we can't go help him out, not at all. You never there, we up in the hills in there, do some building for my surpy. Yeah. Right now, no fire truck no come, no police, and then call them about 5 times or 6. Land do we see them way. No see if he pitting them, every close burn up.
But why was there no fire truck? A representative of the fire brigade in Yallas revealed that both units that responded to the fire developed mechanical problems and had to return. It's understood that there was a further delay as they had to wait for a mechanic who was on location in Kingston. It wasn't until 5:30 in the afternoon that one unit was sent to conduct investigations. Luckily, no one was injured. Meanwhile, Mr. Morris is appealing to citizens to assist him in any way they can.
Right now, my phone number, anybody can help me, at 364-9246. I don't even know what we do.
Kirk Wright, TVJ News.
As preparations continue for students sitting the CXC exams in July, one school in St. Anne shares with us some of the protocols that have been established to safeguard students and staff at the institution.
It's the second week of a limited reopening of schools for students to complete their preparations for the CSEC and CAPE examinations set to begin next month. But as these exam preparations continue, Brownstone High School in St. Anne has put measures in place to improve the safety practices arising from the COVID-19 crisis.
Right across the school, we would have installed hand washing stations. We have sanitizers provided at strategic points in the school. All the teachers have sanitizers, so once the students exit the classroom and they're re-entering, they must be sanitized. Upon entry, they must sanitize first because there's a sanitizer at the security post and their temperatures are checked.
The principal of the Brownstone High School told our news team that despite the challenge of distancing rules, his staff will continue to ensure the protocols are followed.
We know it's a work in progress, and we know that it is not going to be caught or it's not going to become habitual overnight. So we will continue to reinforce to the students and we'll continue to enforce all the safety measures until it becomes a way of life.
In the meantime, some students who are not rostered to attend school during this period have also showed up. They said they were tired of being at home and wanted to come back to school.
Even though students would have come on the first day and we would have showed them the timetable and would have asked them if they had seen it, they would have said yes. But they still wanted to come out to school because they were tired of home and they wanted, at least if they're at school, there'll be an environment where they are comfortable and they get the opportunity to see their classmates and they get the opportunity to see their teachers. So we know the students are eager to come out.
However, the principal, Mr. Alfred Thomas, says the students who were not rostered to attend school were sent home. O'Shane Masters, TVJ News.
Time now for sports. TVJ Sports has obtained a 12-page document tabled by the Kingston and St. Andrew Football Association, CASAFA, ahead of Tuesday's quarterly board meeting of the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF. In the document, which states the views of CASAFA, its clubs and council, the JFF's proposal to revamp local football next season is seen as an act driven by parochialism.
Not all stakeholders are in favour of the JFF proposal of moving to a two-tier professional league in a few months' time, and CASAFA is one of them. According to the 12-page document obtained by TVJ Sports, CASAFA states that they will always accept the challenge and responsibility of assessing the current state to create a better future. However, they are disappointed at the continuing effort of tinkering with the configuration of football, which in many cases may be construed as driven by parochialism. Some of the challenges that are listed ahead of the new season deals with the ability to field players for 30 professional clubs, financial resources which sees the Premier League struggling to finance its operations, and a second tier which will likely cost more money to operate. According to CASAFA, there is not enough infrastructure and COVID-19 will make it worse as it relates to government assistance. CASAFA believes that a proper plan with reasonable timelines would achieve better results. They added that the proposals were not based on any serious analysis or thought, and the recommendation will only impose on clubs additional financial burden over the next 3 to 12 months without regard for source funding and guaranteeing financial return. CASAFA say there should be no far-reaching plans without full discussion with clubs across the island, as this will allow for greater input of the football constituents. They argue anything else would be allowing franchising through the back door, which must be rejected. Keon Rayner reporting for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Please remember to join us at 7 for a primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.